Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about this week's TV news. We do that's most of this show, but we also pick our favourite episode of TV of the week at the end of the show, and also at the start we'll throw in any updates about things, let you know about anything that's upcoming in terms of TV reviews, anything we just did in terms of TV reviews, and if there's any general updates for the channel as a whole, we'll throw that in as well. But that's what we're going to do, so that's what the show is. It's funny, like, in fact, the first thing we should mention actually is this is actually our final news video of the year.
Oh yeah, I didn't realise that either.
Yeah, that might come as a shock. Don't worry, this is the same thing we did last year. We take 2 weeks off, Christmas and New Year's weeks, and because of the weird Christmas and New Year's fall, it's the next two. Because it feels kind of early saying that right now. I don't feel like we're about to hit Christmas.
We're only halfway through the month.
Yeah, but by the time it hits next Friday, it's, I mean, what's it just
22nd.
Yeah, so it's right before Christmas, and then it's right before New Year's after that. So that's to say that we're just taking time off, though. The reason why we take 2 weeks off is largely because the news quietens down, as you'd expect it to, over the Christmas weeks. So don't worry, anything that does pop up during those 2 weeks will just sort of roll into the first news video back. Cause
you get a mega supersized special to start the year.
Not really, because that first week tends to be quite quiet as well, so it tends to be just 3 weeks of small weeks all bundled into.
Just let them think it's a mega supersized special.
All right, I handle it. Lower your expectations. That's my motto.
It's a pretty good motto, actually.
Yeah, you always impress people if you make sure.
I feel like you say that to women. Just when you
of course I do. Why wouldn't I? even if I'm the best, at the sex, lower your expectations, and I'll be even more impressive. It's great, yeah. Right? So we'll be off for 2 weeks, but we're not actually taking time off per se, because instead of doing the news, next week we'll be starting recording our best of the year videos, meaning top 10 new shows of the year, top 10 individual episodes of the year, and top 10 shows of the year in general. So at the very least, that's the plan right now. We did do top worst episodes, or not worst episodes. We did worst new shows last year as well. But we're not doing that this year, not because we're being lazy or anything like that, but actually because we didn't actually do enough of the terrible pilots this year that we could actually do a 10 worst.
Yeah, last year we did all of them, and they were atrocious.
Yeah, last year we made a point of doing things like MacGyver, and we did all these other really bad shows from the networks. This year we just didn't have time for it, because we had too many streaming shows to do and
we
stuff.
had actual good things that we wanted to cover.
So there's no point in doing it, because we couldn't actually make a list for that. If we think of anything else fun we'll do for the end of the year, we'll do that as well, but that's the three main things that are coming. So best new shows.
I guess means if you've got any suggestions as well.
Oh sure, yeah.
Throw them in the comments.
I was tempted to maybe do like it's weird because we'd be leaving best show off for the top 10 best shows, but I was toying with the idea of actually doing a just sort of general awards one where it's best actor of the year, best actress of the year, best music of the year.
I'm down for that.
Yeah,
I can think of at least a couple of already that spring to mind for all those categories.
I mean, maybe what we'd do for that discussion though is we'd come in with the 4 or 5 nominations and then have the conversation.
Yeah.
As to who to pick
we usually do that off screen. We usually go, okay, we know in our heads, okay, these are the ones that we're considering, and then we'll debate it amongst ourselves.
Which for top 10s makes sense, but for this I think because it's just it's not top 10 actors, it's just let's come in with the 4 or 5 options, let's discuss the options and pick a winner for each category that we decide on. So we might do that. That was just something that was going through my head. Maybe that's a fun idea. But so you'll get the first one of those kind of when you'd get the news next week, and then they'll be sprinkled over the next week or so, give or take. So that's the plan. So that's what's happening over Christmas. So
that was useful for me to know as well.
Yeah, I didn't tell you any of that. Keep Connor on his toes. So in terms of any other updates, though, we finished Mr. Robot season 3 this week. The finale aired. So we're saying bye to that for a year or more.
The upside is after this week there won't be an obvious pick for episode of the week every week. I mean, it's a little bit dead, so there's not much choice at the minute. But once shows start up again, it'll be like, okay, there's competition.
True. And we also actually finally finished Godless, the limited series on Netflix. The finale took a few extra days to get to. That's what happens when the shows overlap. But we did finish that this week too, if you want to go back and check out those 7 reviews.
Very good.
It was very good. So, no, that's all the updates. There's nothing starting next week, and not surprisingly, because it's Christmas season, and they don't like to start stuff during those time periods usually.
I mean, it's kind of surprising they started stuff as recently as they did already. You know, like last week we had a couple of things.
Yeah, that was weird. But I guess that's just a sign of the times that they know people like to binge things when they're on Christmas break, so they figure...
it's the same way how now we actually get content over summer.
Yeah, exactly. The whole idea of the TV seasons is becoming a kind of a relic, which is good and bad. It's good in the sense that we don't have dead areas of the year. It's bad in the sense that we don't have that free time to do something, you know, just kind of wacky, just as a side project or something like that. So it's good and bad. But I think the pros probably outweigh the cons.
I agree with that.
But anyway, so let's get into the news. So we have our final news of the year. So we have quite a few quick renewals to talk about first. One that we both care about, one that I care about, and then a couple that we don't care about. So first up, let's just open with the happiest of happy news, which admittedly well expected, always nice to hear. Mr. Robot has been renewed for season 4 at USA Network. And
honestly, just before you actually said, with the way you worded that, then I was convinced you were going to tell me Happy was renewed already.
Oh right, no. No, just much like last year, they announced this before the finale aired. It was actually the same day, and I only remembered that because I remember feeling the same thing of like, oh, it's nice to go into the finale knowing it's already renewed, and they did the same thing last year. So
there's a pattern.
Yeah, it's nice. So the problem with this though is next year, if they don't announce it on the day of the finale, I'm going to be worried because they've done it like the last couple of years.
Yeah. But like I said in that video, I'm not worried ever about that getting renewed because the thing it's done for their network, you know, the credits given them, the awards and stuff.
It's the prestige that it's given them, and then on top of that, they've got international deals. Amazon like pumps it out across most of the planet, so they've got things in place. I'm not worried about Robot coming back until its story's done, which we think is season 5, given comments that Esmail's made in the past. So good news. Also renewed, surprisingly and mildly disappointingly, The Punisher has been renewed for season 2 at Netflix. Disappointing because we gave up after 5 episodes because we were bored to tears.
Do you know what I think the most disappointing thing is, to me at least, is that I know that, okay, this has to take up some of Netflix's annual budget now. Like they have to budget for this again.
True. On the upside though, they said they were spending like $8 billion in 2018 on original content. So
I mean, let's say that costs a few $100 million.
It is not. That season of Punisher did not. Okay, that season of Punisher did not cost a few hundred. It cost maybe $100 million tops.
I'm being extreme and just saying, let's just say that's money that they could spend on another series that I'd rather watch.
You know what? I would agree with this cynicism if it wasn't for the fact that we are struggling to keep up with all the good Netflix content they're actually putting out. Like you saying, no, I want another good one.
Okay, when I say that, I mean, don't bother with that one and just give the budget to someone else to make their show even better.
Or how about don't give the budget to that and lower our prices? What about
that? I mean, sure. Honestly, I don't care that I'm paying the amount I'm paying. So I mean, lower them or don't. I don't care.
I think the amount's fine too. I don't think any of the increases they've had yet have been egregious in any way. So Punisher's renewed. Also renewed from Netflix, well, from Netflix. Frontier has been renewed for season 3. Yeah, that's still a thing.
I know it popped up on Netflix. Season 2 was on Netflix maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It finally popped up in my, not my recommended, but in just the Netflix originals section that they have. It finally popped up near the top of that like yesterday for me.
Sometimes it feels weird how the lack of promotion for certain things they put up there, but it must be doing somewhat well because they've renewed it again. It's going to be 6 episodes again, which I assume means 2 was also 6 because 1 was 6.
It was, yeah.
So, and the one that I care about that Connor does not care about, and it's actually surprising given how long the last season took to even be announced, but Curb Your Enthusiasm has been renewed for season 10 at HBO. Now I've not watched season 9 yet. It just finished. I am excited to binge it soon. I'm going to have a good time doing that. This is surprising because there was like 6-7 years between season 7 and 8, or sorry, 8 and 9, and the funny thing was, it was never like a renewal with that. It was just kind of like, oh, if Larry David wants to come back and make more, we'll let him. And then eventually he did come back and say, hey, I want to make more Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it's kind of weird to me that as soon as this one finished airing its season, they're like, oh, renewed for season 10. Like, it must be.
I do wonder if this is. I mean, I haven't read the details. I did see the story, but I didn't read the details because I didn't really care. I wonder if it's more of an open renewal, more like, yeah, look, season 10 will happen when it happens.
Maybe. I don't know. I wonder if it's like, obviously it was 6 years apart or whatever between those two seasons.
You got a bit of juices for enough for 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, I wonder if he came back with like a sort of 3-year plan to like kind of wrap it up, because he just hit 70, I think, so he's getting up there in the age. But I'm excited to watch season 9. I love Curb, so good news. And then in terms of premiere dates, we did get one for Jessica Jones, just come back to Netflix. Season 2 of Jessica Jones will premiere March 8th, which when I looked up that day is not a Friday, which is really bizarre. It looks like a Thursday from my quick skim.
Yeah, interesting, because it makes me think either they've got something else out that Friday as well, or...
Oh, they can. They can't launch Jessica Jones on Thursday and have something else on the Friday.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. Why the Thursday specifically? It just seems strange.
I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe the 8th means something to them internally.
It could do, yeah.
I don't know. I have no guess. If anyone has any guesses as to why the 8th, specifically when everything's been traditionally a Friday, barring 1 or 2
yeah, I know.
cases.
I think it was the last season of House of Cards was on like a Monday.
Yeah. And Godless went up on a Wednesday, but maybe you could argue, or maybe limited series have a different day.
Yeah, but that doesn't have the last season of House of Cards.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. Maybe
yeah.
I was offering a reason for that one specifically, but it seems like they're trying to experiment with their days a little bit, which honestly I don't like. Because
honestly, do you know what I think it is? I mean, this one a bit weirder with it being a Thursday, but the Monday and the Wednesday, I can see they're seeing how many shows they've got, and they're realizing, hey, we can't just have everything on a Friday, because it might hit a point where we have 3 things on one Friday. So if we kind of slip in the idea that okay, we can stagger them a bit here or there now, that by the time we can do Friday Tuesday sort of thing.
Okay, for down the line, okay. I would maybe counter that, and I not necessarily counter your point. I'd counter Netflix directly and say, you don't have to prepare us for that. I don't think. Like,
I agree. I don't think they need to, but it's the only thing I can really think of.
Because I feel like if you have the idea that Friday's the big day, and then when there's 2 things launching, because now sometimes they put the foreign thing out the same day as
yeah, maybe put that out a couple of days earlier.
Yeah, put that out on the Tuesday, and it would feel like, oh, fine, okay. So Tuesday you get the non-biggies, and then Friday's the biggies, if you will.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But
I wonder if there's certain things they're trying to compete with. Like, is there a movie out on March 8th that they want to compete with?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either, but I remember they launched Defenders against Justice League? Not Defenders. Punisher?
Punisher, yeah.
Yeah, Defenders was against something else as well, though, I'm sure.
Well, it wasn't a DC movie.
No, it wasn't a DC movie, but I remember thinking a few times they've launched against specific movies.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something out in that day that they want to compete with. I don't know. But hey, regardless, March 8th. And then speaking of Netflix, they have a cancellation as well. They announced that the 3rd season of Love, which is coming out soon, is going to be its last. That's the debuting on... Oh, speaking of things out on the Friday, the same week as Jessica Jones, that's out on March 9th, apparently.
Oh, well, there we go. Which one's that again?
That's the one with Gillian Jacobs from Community.
Oh, yeah, okay. I tried the first episode of that, I think. I don't know if we did, or if I just tried it.
No, we did, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't great. It was fine.
It
was Judd Apatow doing Judd Apatow, which if you like that, then great, but wasn't much
pretty
for
much.
Me. But yeah, so I mean, they're announcing it's the last season ahead of time, so hopefully the creators knew that and they gave it a
I feel like they probably did if we're hearing about this early rather than after it airs.
So that's cool. So if you like that show, it's getting an ending. It feels... This is the thing, though. If you're going to say, okay, that's why Jessica Jones is on the Thursday, why not have Jessica Jones on the Friday, and have Love be the one that's on the weird day?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How strange.
I mean, hell, maybe it's going to get to the point where we've just got something every day the goddamn week, and we're just going to have to get used to that.
Oh, if that's the case, then everything else is getting stopped. It's just Netflix basically at that point.
And even then, we'll need to be picky.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so we can move on to other things. So we're actually going over to. Remember how we got the first look at Robin a couple of weeks ago? In the news, we got the first image of Dick Grayson in outfit and costume. We got our first look, weirdly, at characters I wouldn't have expected to be next. It's the same type of shot with the same sort of background, so they're clearly going to be, having these come out over the next month or so. But we got Hawk and Dove, who are like not actually part of the main team. They are recurring guest characters on season 1. But regardless, we got them next in costume, and they look pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good job I happened to see this, because you didn't tell me to look at this, that you'd be talking about it.
I assumed you would have seen it.
By coincidence, I saw it about 5 minutes before we started.
This is the sort of thing that you would be seeing on a general basis.
It was, but I was having internet problems today. Yes, exactly.
What can I say? But no, it looks pretty good. I think inherently their costumes are a little bit more goofy than Robin's is, because it's got like these big feathery looking capes and stuff. Yeah. But for what it is, it looks pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder to judge because there's two of them. They cover each other up, and one of them's got the back turned in the photo, so you don't really see all of it as much as you did with the Robin one.
I like Dove's big goggle things. I don't know. They're not glasses.
No, I know what you're on about. Yeah. They are pretty nice.
I like those. Those look pretty cool. Yeah. I'm really curious to see how it looks when they're actually kind of like fighting and motion, flying around and whatnot. But at least as it is, they look pretty solid. So. Good. So I'm actually excited now to see I think Starfire is going to be the big one, because I mean Beast Boy will just be painted green, that's fine, but Starfire is actually, what did they do with the hair, what did they do with the costume? Plus she's orange.
The hair's obviously gone through a few different styles over the years.
I feel like it won't be the big poofy hair. I feel like they'll go with a more
the current, just the long straight hair.
Probably, I would imagine so.
Which is fine.
And then Raven's pretty straightforward, just the hood. But I mean, I feel like the two they showed us first were the ones that were the most costumey.
Again, Raven depends on which version of Raven they go, because there's some versions where she looks pretty much normal, and there's others where she's like grey purple with the jewel and all that.
I think given the fact they've got two other characters that are painted, they might just go with a normal looking Raven.
They might. I'll be a little bit disappointed if they do, because it's not the Raven I like as much. But
honestly, I'm not really attached to her having a look like that.
Yeah, well, screw you.
For me, it's the hood and the jewel and the head.
Yeah, no, I'm with
That's
you,
all I need.
But...
But hey,
you unprofessional bastard!
Enjoy that sound effect, folks.
Someone's headphones or speakers just popped at that.
Send your bill. I'll send Connor's PayPal account out. You can send your bills to that. Okay. And just one little tidbit on some other DC shows. I just thought I'd mention this briefly. So Colton Haynes is coming back to Arrow for a short guest stint. He's going to be there for an arc sometime this season.
I saw Amel was teasing it before it happened as well, posting some old pictures of them on set.
I see. So yeah, he's going to see episode 15 of the current season. He's going to show up for an arc, which I think the creators are talking about it being short, which I think means 2 or 3 episodes. I wouldn't expect him to be there for that long.
Yeah, maybe 4 tops.
But hey, I mean, I don't really. I'm indifferent to this, really.
Yeah, just a little bit while we're kind of on the topic of the DC shows. I did read an interview with, I can't remember who exactly it was, someone high up on Flash, talking about why Wally was kind of being shafted at the minute.
Oh, okay.
They basically kind of said what we've been speculating, the idea that they were really struggling plot-wise because of having 2 speedsters. They felt like they always had to knock one of them out, or a reason why there was only one of them at a time, because as well as just it was kind of boring just to have 2 speedsters all the time, they were actually struggling with the effects budget as well, of doing both of them and having all the the team-up stuff going on. They did say, though... this one again. They did say, we have plans for Wally within this universe.
Legends?
I'm hoping so.
Possibly Titans. That's more of a reach, but...
It's more of a reach. They said within this universe, which is why I kind of...
But I mean, do they swerve us later and say, oh, it's in universe?
They could. But
Or at the very least, it's on a different Earth, but it's, much like Supergirl can be connected. Why not?
yeah, exactly.
Why not Titans?
But yeah, I saw that and I went, ooh, that sounds like Legends talk.
Do you know what? See, if I was making Titans, right, I think the ballsy move would be to keep it completely secret, but have Wally appear by the end of the first episode and make it a surprise. Just
Oh man, if they did that,
keep it quiet. Don't tell anyone. Just do it with a fancy new suit that fits the rest of them.
that's what I was just going to say. Do they give him a new costume?
I think they do. They keep the color scheme and stuff, but they, just make it look better, make it look less leathery, maybe a bit more of a texture to it, kind of like Robin's does, maybe.
Yeah, and then I want to see him come back and Cisco be really offended. Like, wait, what happened to the suit I made you?
Yeah, and why is this one so much better? That'd be really funny though if he comes back with his Titan suit that's much higher budget and like it just looks
inspiration for Cisco to go. Well, now I need to make Barry a new one.
Yeah, but I still want to give credit to Supergirl's suit because I actually think Supergirl's suit doesn't need to be improved. Supergirl's suit's perfect.
I agree. And to be fair, we're ragging on the Flash outfits here, but they're pretty solid. They're not perfect, but they're pretty solid.
I don't like the baggy leather kind of feel they have to them, but I mean it's gotten better over time. Don't get me wrong.
They're certainly not bad.
No. Obviously, it's hit and miss depending on the character, but Supergirl's outfit's really good. I mean, Arrow's is okay. I mean, it's just
can't really go wrong with that one, can they?
It's a bit dark, a bit on the dark side, but other than that, it's not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not a thing. Mr. Terrific's is both amazing and terrible. It's like it's accurate, but it actually looks really stupid in live action.
You're right, because I was just thinking this out. I was going through it in my head. I was gonna say terrific because it's not bad, but then I was like, but it's kind of awful.
But hey, so on to other things. So I didn't actually write anything down for this next thing other than just the words Disney Fox. That's all I've got in my.
Oh, here we go. It's the big news of the year.
Well, luckily we already went into so much depth when it first brought up. I don't feel like we have to completely.
We did get some more specifics.
Yeah,
on the general.
There was things here or there. It's official. It's happening. Disney are getting all the Fox assets. Excluding Fox News, excluding Fox Sports.
And not the Fox TV network either.
And excluding the Fox TV network just because of rules. I mean, that's the only reason why. Basically, is because it's just they're not allowed to. But they do everything Fox Studios makes TV wise they own. But obviously, let's make this clear: they do not own all the shows that air on Fox. They never did.
No, they'll own some of them.
Yeah, some of the ones that they made, sure. But because one of the things that I've been seeing on social media that I've been just, every time I see it, I'm face palming so hard.
I feel like you said this when we mentioned this was getting close last week.
I probably did, but it's worth repeating. People who think, oh, now Disney own Gotham, but that's a DC thing. It's like, they don't. They never, Fox never owned that.
Yeah.
That's not how TV works. Get over it.
It's just before we recorded, I actually checked with Peter about a certain TV show from, it doesn't air anymore. I was like, did Fox own that? Like, because it's obviously it's a bit more confusing with TV rights as to who has what exactly if you're not sure.
I don't know why you're avoiding saying the name of the show.
I wanted to mention this because while we were on the topic, but I thought I don't want to give you the freebie. But
I don't reference Firefly that often.
No, but it's a gateway. Firefly is a gateway drug. Well,
Fox do own the TV rights to Firefly, of course. I think Universal still have the movie rights because of Serenity. For the record, actually, does this mean Disney own the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Did Fox make? Fox do make that, yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't sure on who produced that either.
Yeah, because I was on the WB, but it was Fox that made it. Fox do all the DVDs and stuff.
There you go.
Man, Disney have Buffy now? What?
Right, okay, here's something I will say that is a possible good side to that.
Okay.
You might get a proper HD remaster.
Disney, I will, every negative thing I've said about this merger, I will rescind if I get proper, with the correct aspect ratios, remasters in high definition, or 4K, whatever, go as high as you want, of Buffy and Angel, I will forgive all.
Because I feel like we're going to get original cuts of Star Wars now.
Probably, because that was one thing Fox still had, was the original cut distribution rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now Disney have got those back now too.
And you know the fanfare back at the start of the movies. I hope they don't have to do that, but I hope.
Oh yeah, I never even thought of that. Yeah, like, would they want to put the Fox logo back at the start?
Maybe not, but maybe just because. I can see them not doing it for 9, just because to keep that trilogy going at least consistent. But
I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, man, I can't believe Disney own Buffy and Angel now. What? Oh.
Yeah, and obviously they've said that Fox will, in terms of the movie stuff here, that will keep running as an independent studio in the same way that, you know, Lucasfilm is still an independent studio under Disney.
It's a weirder thing because, like, Fox don't have an identity. Like, you know, Lucasfilm is Star Wars and also Indiana Jones, but mainly Star Wars.
Yeah, it's got a few other little bits as well on the side, you know, but
it's mainly Star Wars.
It is mainly Star Wars,
right? And then, like, obviously, Marvel is Marvel. It's their universe of characters.
That's what they were buying those companies for. It's like, yeah, sure, you get the extras, but it's clear that's what they wanted. But
Fox is a weird thing because it's not like you feel like Die Hard and Predator go together in a sort of pack.
It's like, okay, so they're going to put movies out under the Fox brand and, you know, under that.
Well, this is the weird thing. It feels like, I mean, this is kind of the best case scenario, at least so far. Although there is reason still to worry for later, but. It sounds like Fox is still going to operate independently underneath Disney, where it's still going to have its own people who are making decisions on what they make, right? I think obviously there'll be some oversight in the sense of Disney will say, well, you can't have things coming out in these days because that's when we have movies coming out, which isn't that different from before because obviously they didn't want to clash anyway.
Yeah, they always kind of, there was a bit of a, you know, behind the scenes collusion always, isn't there, anyway?
But maybe this is my fear because of like video games and EA buying up studios and how like they run them into the ground.
Yeah, they say this now.
But like, yeah, like do they keep like taking more budgets and budgets away from Fox, so Fox can keep doing less and less, and then eventually it's like, well, we might as well just close the studio. Like, you know, does that happen? And then it's just about the IPs. Like, I mean, admittedly, that's a bit fearmongery, but
it's possible.
We've had precedent for it in other entertainment industries, right?
Yeah, and we've seen it in the music industry as well. It's done similar things.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things. I remember when we first had this big conversation and we talked about how, and I was even joking about how, oh well, every other studio's going to have to combine forces to like compete. Not a big thing, but the head of Sony was like talking this week about how, oh, this kind of opens up possibilities for the future, because at one point they were looking to like maybe acquire the Fox assets, and they were saying, oh, we're always on the lookout to see what else we can acquire and like bolster our business. And I'm like, that really sounds like everyone's thinking about maybe merging at some point.
And like I said, this is exactly what happened to the music industry. So, and it's not that different in terms of the way it functions. Because
it's worth mentioning, because people talk about 6 main studios. Now we have 5. And it still technically exists.
6 in all, but in name, but you know, in reality.
Yeah, reality, it's now 5. Now, to give some credit to maybe what it does to Disney's overall thing, like, and why they maybe wouldn't want to like, alter things too much, other than maybe taking away X-Men and Fantastic Four for their own schemes because of obvious reasons, is honestly, especially with TV, I feel like Fox gives them a lot of things they didn't have. Because obviously one of the things they did get is FX. Now think about what's on FX. Now, first of all, I hope this does not interfere with Legion. Leave that alone.
This is a concern I have, because again, precedent for, I mean, I know you didn't care about this, but when Disney bought Lucasfilm, Clone Wars got the shaft, and obviously I had the video game properties as well.
I was going to say the whole extended universe just got
I was okay with most of that, but Clone Wars, because it's still canon even after that now, they still consider that as part of the actual stuff, but Season 6 was well into production, and they just shut it down, and that's how we ended up with half a season on Netflix.
I'm worried about Legion, but just thinking about FX as a whole, think about, you know, Fargo and other things they put out. They put out sort of more edgier, kind of adult-oriented content, which is something Disney and the TV side of things doesn't really have. It's kind of like a whole area of programming they just don't produce, so it's kind of like, okay, well, I can see why they'd want that arm, and be like, okay, now we have a hand in that pie now.
Yeah.
As opposed to before. Some interesting things that I did not realise the last time we talked about this. This actually gives them a majority of Hulu, which I think is a really weird thing, given future plans right now. Because before they owned 30%, they had a third stake. Fox had another third, so now they own 60%. I think the exact figure is 61% of Hulu. So they have a majority hold of Hulu now. Time Warner and Comcast owning the remaining third. I don't know how it splits up between those two. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But so, and what's weird to me about this, right? So you've got Hulu. You're now the majority. You make the decisions essentially for Hulu. But you've already announced that you're doing your own Disney service, your own streaming service in the future, and it presents an interesting conundrum to me, because on the one hand, okay, now you have Hulu and you own most of it, so do you want to just turn that into your Disney service? But then you have this downside of these two other companies own parts of it.
Profiting from that, yeah.
They're still profiting from it. So it's like, well, do you then sell off your shares of Hulu and just get away from that to focus on your own? And well, that seems like maybe an okay idea, but then you're giving these other companies complete ownership of something that's already an established brand. Hulu's already an established name.
You know what? I feel if I were in their situation, what I would do is cut back on the original content. I know. From my perspective as an individual now, I kind of hate this because I'm enjoying some of the content they're putting out. But what I would do from there, if I was Disney, I would try and scale back Hulu's original content, really move into the the on-demand side of things that they do.
Well, yeah, because
really push that
Hulu started and is mainly known for being a catch-up service where it has all the main network sort of catch-up programming. They could, if they wanted to keep them both around, like, because that's the third thing where I think it's an even weirder conundrum where they have their own service, but they're still the majority of Hulu at the same time. So how do you separate that? And I guess maybe that's how you do it: is you take away the original content, say no, it's just about catching up what's on the networks, and things like Runaways, things like Castle Rock, Handmaid's Tale would maybe gravitate. But then again, like, it depends. Their Disney streaming service, like, do they want that to have things like Handmaid's Tale? Do they want that to be more focused?
They might want it to be, because so far everything they've announced has really been with that Disney identity. It's been, Star Wars, Pixar,
and Marvel.
Yeah. So I can see Runaways being the one that's in danger. I'll be honest.
I wouldn't say in danger. If anything, I'd say it'd been moved. I feel like they just want to keep it around, but they just move it.
Quite possibly, but again, I'm basing this on the Disney acquisition, the Lucasfilm acquisition of. Something got axed, and then they were just went, well, we'll just replace it.
Well, I think this is different though than that, because this is still theirs. They're still making this.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, it's still their thing in universe. So I think that's where it's a little bit different. Whereas with a lot of the X-Men stuff, like you could honestly see them coming in and just gutting all of it and saying not all of it's, like, whatever's getting made now will get finished, but everything else after that's cancelled and we're going to rewrite from scratch.
Yeah,
you could totally see them doing that. Because the other big thing that I'm really thinking about in terms of this streaming service is, we've talked about it in the past about how, okay, so they're going to have original Star Wars and they're going to have original Marvel and Pixar series. That's already quite a bit of a behemoth, especially if you have all the Disney back catalogue of Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, and just your regular Disney stuff, your animated and whatever. And then if you add into that all your sort of Miramax and sort of more adult orientated Disney content, you've got quite a service. And I'm thinking, okay, so that's a big appeal for a lot of people, especially with the original content added on. And we already know they're pulling away their Disney content from Netflix and Amazon and whoever else to be exclusive to their service. Yeah,
once the deals are up.
Now they have all of Fox's back catalogue as well to be exclusive on their service. Yeah. Now they get to pull all the Fox shows and movies from everything else as well. And all of a sudden, you have 2 of the big 6 studios together, and you have a third of the mainstream movie industry on one service exclusive. All of a sudden, that feels like, okay, there's no way that can fail almost now.
Yeah,
because
and also,
on top of it, and just to sort of clarify, like how big that is. So on top of Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, Pixar, you also now have, as what we've mentioned so far, Buffy, Alien, Predator, Avatar, Home Alone. What else does Fox do? What's the other big one that people keep mentioning? Alien, Die Hard. That was the other one. Alien, Predator, Die Hard. Those were the properties I was thinking of. So,
yeah, that leads into what I was saying is, so you're talking about the Hulu. Okay, they've got their original shows, and we're going, okay, so we can kind of see them. Okay, maybe they'll just let them do the ones like that. But anything that has a brand, like, do we get a Predator TV show? Like that sort of idea now. Yeah. Does that go on their service? Because they can.
Yeah, I feel like that makes more sense. Like honestly, because I get the whole idea of being greedy and wanting two services that offer slightly different things. Like maybe having like the Disney service will just be the stuff that's more family friendly and Marvel and Star Wars and that, and then they'd have another one for things like Predator and Die Hard and
Yeah, do you know the advantage? It just dawned on me. Really, it's too obvious that I don't know why. I mean, the clear advantage to keeping Hulu and keeping it as a solid service.
What's that?
Twice the income.
Oh sure, but like if you're like let's say you're making people pick between them because they can only afford one, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's what you don't want to be doing, which is why, from my perspective, like I really feel like, because one of the big things with like CBS All Access doing their thing, and I'm like, why not just make that a Paramount service which has all the Paramount's back catalogue? Make it be a thing, like make it be no, you get everything Paramount's ever made, as well as all CBS shows and everything else, plus the original content. But instead, they seem to want to like, no, this is just a CBS All Access.
But by that logic, do we argue that for the upcoming DC service, do we say, oh, this should just be a Warner service?
Yeah, I mean, at least with the DC one, like, you could almost argue this, especially, I mean, they're not, but if they were going to include all the comics ever like produced, like Marvel Unlimited, then you'd have more of a case of, no, it's really specific.
And that's the thing with Disney, even before this Fox stuff, Disney was, all right, okay, that's big enough that it's they've got so much that it's an appeal on its own, rather than just...
Yeah, but now they have it times 2, because they have all of Fox's content as well. And that's a lot of content. Like, if you, I mean, they're two of the biggest studios like that have existed for the longest. If you go look up to Wikipedia and just look in movies produced by 20th Century Fox, it's not actually on one page. It only lists up to 2000, and then you have to go to a separate page to get 2000 onwards, because there's too many.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's how many movies. It
doesn't surprise me, but it's crazy.
Yeah, well, they've been making movies for 100 years or near enough.
Yeah,
exactly. A long time. So, all this content, and I feel like, to me, if we're going to have like these streaming services, at least, yeah, that's the appeal to me. Make it be like, yeah, okay, there's some new original content getting up there, but make it be like the back catalogue. You know how all the things that never even get a DVD release, never mind a Blu-ray release, like all their old movies that maybe are just sitting in a vault somewhere. Put them all on it. Make it be something where if you're a film... Because one of my big concerns with all the streaming stuff is that it feels super aimed at just modern mainstream stuff for people who, like, have kids that, well, shove them in front of Star Wars or shove them in front of a Pixar movie. Like, I feel like, no, make it something that is inclusive for people who actually care about your older content. Make it something that has everything there. And then the thing I compare it to, actually, is the WWE Network, where... They basically just said, okay, you get all the new stuff that's live and it'll go straight up as on demand afterwards, right? But one of the big appeals of that service is that everything they've ever recorded, basically, since the 80s is there. Or at least if it's not all there yet, they're gradually putting it in as they're working their way through it. But it's just all there. You have access to it. So I feel like if Disney, and now Disney Fox, essentially, are going to have this service... Have it all. Just put it all in and make it so appealing that no one can turn it away. But if they get greedy and they start saying, well, no, this is just a Disney service, and then we're going to have like a more other one that's aimed at adults.
That's it. Up till this point, before this deal, the Disney service has always sounded like that, because they've always, they haven't had any specifics about, oh, it'll just be modern movies. They've always said, oh, any of the back catalogue stuff, we know they're pulling it from Netflix, etc. It's going on there, and it's kind of I can justify why I want that service.
If it's everything Disney and Fox have ever made, then yeah.
Yeah. And even at just everything Disney have made, I can justify a service for that. It's because at most I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have 6 services from all the studios at that point.
I can justify it existing. It wouldn't justify it for me to get it.
Okay, that's fair.
If that makes sense, because I just don't care enough about it.
I think the content, the back catalogue plus the original content would justify it for me.
The Disney back catalogue for me is not a big deal. I'm not a big Disney animated guy,
I think honestly the biggest concern of these ones like CBS All Access, where everyone wants a piece of the pie, everyone wants in, so everyone's doing their own thing, but the upper management, the head levels, they need to step in and go, okay, no, we see where this is going, we see it fracturing. I mean, again, to go back to the music industry, this is why we have pretty much just Spotify and Apple Music now. Well,
this is why this is the thing. I can see it eventually consolidating into something that's more reasonable, like 3 or 4 that you just have to get, and you'll get everything. Because that's the thing. So this is a lot of theorizing here, right? But so we're saying, okay, so Disney with Fox, and we're already hearing like Sony talk about how there might be more mergers in the future. I can see it happening. I can see basically, I'm looking at Warner Brothers and Universal as being the two biggest now after Disney. I can see Warner Brothers taking in a smaller one, and I can see Universal taking in a smaller one, and then
That's three big ones then.
essentially three big ones, and then maybe like another one that's like a lot of smaller things that have banded together, and then your indies, right? I can see it kind of going kind of like that. So we'd be going from like 6 to 3, essentially, in the long run. And I feel like the streaming side of things, because we're already at a point now where you got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got Hulu, and then you got CBS trying to do their thing. We've got a DC thing announced. Who knows, but and Disney's announced theirs, obviously, and who knows who else is going to start trying to announce things. But if you're into wrestling, you get WWE Network. If you're into, I mean, I'm sure there's others that I'm not thinking of, but there's a whole bunch. And I feel like the people are going to keep trying doing their own services, and it's going to keep happening. And maybe Warner's tries to do theirs, and maybe Universal does theirs, and then maybe so on and so forth. Paramount does one. I don't know if Lionsgate's big enough to want to try and do one. They might. And you'll have all these things. And I wonder, like, eventually they'll start to crash because, like, there's just not enough of an audience to sustain.
The bubble will burst.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's a point where the ones that have tried to, like, cut it up into, like, 3 or 4 services go, you know what, no. In order for this to work, we have to condense it onto one big giant service. Charge maybe slightly more for it, but give everyone everything in one service. Like,
I feel that has to, like I said, this, again, is exactly what happened in the music industry. We had 6, 7 major labels. Now we've got, 3. Because, like you say, one big merger happened and it spiraled, and it's like, okay, no, we have to band together, and this is exactly what happened. So now you just have these 3 big companies that own 95% of all the music that comes out.
On top of all the monopoly talk, and on top of the lack of competition, we talked about that a lot the first time we talked about this, so we won't reiterate that. Just to add on other fuel to the fires to why this is bad, it just came out today that at least 5,000 jobs are going to be axed because of this, up to 10,000 potentially. So
again, it's not surprising though, because now all of a sudden they have they have people doing 2 jobs, like 2 different people doing the one job.
Yeah, no.
Which before made sense because 2 independent people, they both needed people to do that job, but now they just don't need that, and it's a sad reality. But I understand it from the business perspective, but it's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's a bad thing. So I do really feel there's going to be a period where there's too many streaming services, and then eventually, in order to actually be competitive and actually get enough people subscribing, they're going to consolidate a little bit more, and then we're going to get to a point where there's maybe, you'll have Netflix, you'll have Amazon. I can see Hulu eventually being absorbed by a Disney thing, honestly.
I can as well, given the ownership stakes now, given that they're starting to make names themselves in original content, but they still have a side business, with all the catch up. They still have a core focus that they can fall back on at least. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Does that eventually become redundant if all the channels are connected to one of these big streaming services anyway, that they can just go straight onto?
It's true. It depends how these streaming services play, because as of right now, we don't really know. Like the Disney one, is it going to get Disney-owned TV shows on there, like catch-up style?
I mean, probably not right away, because right now, at least, they'll have so many contracts that say they're not allowed to have it until...
Again, yeah, same for the DC one. Like, okay, well, the CW shows already have their deals, mostly with Netflix.
Yeah, but that's the thing, I imagine they're not going to renew those, and they're going to, when they expire, they'll just start putting them straight onto the service.
Exactly. I think the CW ones, they go on Hulu, right, as well. So they have the Hulu for, like, the weekly catch-up.
I think they're on Hulu. I don't know if it's redundant now. I mean, I think they are on there anyway, but they also have the CW app.
Own, yeah,
where they're just there for free for a while.
Yeah, I think the advantage to having it with Hulu is if you pay for Hulu, you get your ad-free, right?
If you pay for it, yeah. If you
pay for it, yeah. So you get your ad-free. So then that's why you go there instead of CW's own app, where you're going to get the ads.
Yeah, so I don't know.
It's getting complicated.
There's a lot to consider, but all this future streaming, it was specifically because obviously we've talked about the actual merger before and what it does to the industry already. It was kind of this week I was thinking a lot of the streaming service and about how now that they have all the Fox content, how it's kind of a powerhouse in terms of that. Now, yeah. I actually think. I think Netflix especially is going to be okay, because Netflix have already really got a good head start on making content,
I think they've got enough of a brand recognition at this point.
They do, especially since they've got a few shows now as well, which are big enough brands on their own. Like Stranger Things is now a global phenomena, right? It just is. Like it's big enough that.
Yeah, I think they're safe because you know even though all right, House of Cards is tarnished now and it's ending.
Oh sure.
It had it did a good deal for their reputation.
Amazon is not quite there yet, but it seems like it's starting to get there. That they're really trying, but even if it doesn't. But even if it doesn't, Amazon's such a big goddamn company.
They can kind of just... They've got two options, Amazon. They can either just keep going, because it's like, what the hell? Or they can just go, oh, all right, well, we give it a try.
Yeah, eventually they could just sell off their Prime catalogue to someone else.
Honestly,
if they wanted to.
Something that might help them a lot is the Lord of the Rings show. Just based on name recognition of, okay, no, this is how we get people in.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing, though, is that if all these places start having their own services... then all these studios that make content for Netflix and Amazon suddenly will not be wanting to make content for them anymore because they'll have their in-house streaming services to make content for.
That's a fair point.
Which might not be a huge deal because there's a lot of independence, of course, that Netflix use.
Netflix do use a lot of independent studios, yeah.
But I'm just thinking in the case of Lord of the Rings, of course, that's owned by Warner. So
yeah, that'll go through New Line, won't it?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, what's the case with that? If Warner eventually wanted their own service, I don't think they get to snatch that show back because Amazon made it. But
yeah, is it them producing that show? Because obviously, I know they have the movie rights. Do they have the TV rights?
It may not be. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Because I remember the article they were talking about going through the Tolkien estate. So I wonder if the TV rights are separate, so they don't have to go through Warner for that.
Either that, or it's just a case where the Tolkien estate still has to have a say in what's going on with everything.
Quite possibly, because I was thinking, okay, I was going back into, obviously there's the games going on at the minute, but they're published by Warner.
Because I remember, they are published by Warner. You're right, but yeah. I remember, when The Hobbit was coming out, there was a whole legal dispute, and there was lawsuits going on for years as it was all happening. So. It could just be that simple, but there's a lot to go on. Obviously, a lot of this has been speculation, but I think it just sort of says how big this deal is, and how monumental it is. I never thought I'd wake up to, Disney are buying Fox. Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, it says we've probably spoke for maybe half an hour on this now. I don't know, and then
20 minutes.
We did at least 45 minutes before, I think, when we had that big conversation, and most of this has been fresh stuff.
Yeah, I kind of came at it from the streaming service point of view this time, mainly because obviously there'll be a lot of original content being made for that. And hey, if Disney start making a lot of original content that's worth watching, then great. It's the sort of thing I've seen some speculation because obviously Shield was basically all out confirmed that ABC wanted to cancel it last season,
and it got saved.
And Disney came in and said, no, you're not cancelling it. And I wonder if part of that reason, there's been some speculation that's because they want to actually make more seasons for their service. So they're just making them keep it going until the service hits.
Going until we get ready.
Yeah. I don't know if that's has any weight to that. It feels a bit
unlikely, given that we're already on season 5. By the time they get there, we probably have had 6 seasons, because they haven't announced that in the original slate, at least.
Oh, they haven't, no.
So we'll probably have at least 6 seasons. So then it's okay, we're getting to season 7.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'll be delighted if that's the case, but I'm not convinced that's happening.
No, me either.
But it's just more interesting things to think about. I mean, I don't know. It's but no, definitely a lot of things. Obviously, there's a lot of changes. We've been going through a lot. I mean, hell, 10 years ago, streaming didn't exist in the way it does now. 10 years from now, who knows how many services and what ones we'll be having and whatnot. And it's got a knock-on effect as well, because one of the weird things, of course, net neutrality was under attack this week, and the votes went through, but Netflix, in fact, there's a whole bunch of states in the US that are right now preparing lawsuits to fight it.
Yeah, it's weird, because obviously the FCC voted.
I don't want to go into this, though. I don't want to get into the actual net neutrality thing. But the reason why I mentioned it at all is just I want to talk about just I want to mention the knock-on effect that this kind of has, because if all these streaming services, if all these studios are just making their own services, they're basically superseding the idea of even having to have channels and cable networks and stuff like that. They're basically getting to a future where those don't matter anymore, right? And those providers already feel terrified because lots of people are just cutting the cord because they just need the internet for streaming services. They don't need the TV packages, and that's why they want net neutrality to go away, because they want to be able to charge extra for getting access to certain things. They want to replace all of those obscene prices for TV packages with obscene prices for internet packages, which obviously no one in the world wants except them. That's the only people who want it, are the people who want you to pay for it. So it's just so interesting to think of that knock-on effect where this is again them making TV irrelevant as it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's more and more of the changing from that.
I mean, again, it's one of these things that, you know, to go back to history, it's like, yeah, TV killed radio. And it's like, well, did it? Radio still gets listened to around the world every day, and is, you know, it has numerous radio stations. You all know your local stations, the national station. You'll know what you have, and it's still there, still exists, still making money. So
yeah, it still has a function.
TV will probably always it will still exist in some form.
It does.
It will just be different, maybe.
What might not exist in some form though is the TV providers and the way they operate, and
Indeed.
they are terrified of going extinct. It's the same with toy manufacturers. They're terrified of 3D printers because people can just download toy schematics and print out toys themselves. Which, don't get me wrong, the amount of people can actually do that right now is very minuscule. But in 10 years, in 20 years, they're terrified. They're terrified of their future being eaten alive, and it's like kind of tough. The world moves forward, like, you know.
It's up to you to adapt. Don't supply the toys. Supply the schematics. Supply the
materials.
The materials.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Adapt. But the reason why Netflix, because Netflix didn't start off as a streaming service. Netflix were a disc. I mean, even before the disc getting sent out, like. Actually, I think that's when they started. But
I think that's when it started. Yeah.
But you know, they were different. They were part of the old. Not the ancient way of doing things, but they were part of a previous generation of doing things. That was sending out DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah, I was subscribed to one of those ones. It wasn't Netflix. I can't remember what it was called. Yeah. But for a while, I had one of those before streaming.
But now, like, they adapted, and because they thought of doing that first, they were the first to do it, and because of that, they are the king of streaming right now.
Yeah, maybe not forever, but
right now,
advantage. Like, they got in early. They went, no, we see the future. We're going
so you've got these other companies that are so terrified, and instead of actually thinking about how they can actually do something in a fair way and not just charge through the nose for something we already get, they're trying to, you know, exploit the system and stack the deck against us, and it's horrible. You know, keep net neutrality, fight for it, everyone. Seriously, it's just too good. They're taking away your porn. They're going to try and take away your porn. Seriously, just put it in simple, basic statements you can understand. They're trying to take your porn away.
Yeah,
fight for it.
No one wants that.
No one wants that. But I think we'll go off this. I think we had a good conversation there.
I think so.
No.
We'll come back to it if we get any new details on anything.
Yeah, just to wrap up, just as much as I have a lot of reasons why I don't like the merger, and we've both went into that in great detail, I will say, okay, now that it's happened, I'm not going to complain about it constantly. I'm not going to whatever.
This is the world now.
This is it. I'll make my peace with it. Now we can only sort of examine what the effect that it's going to have and what we might get from it. So
yeah, and hope for some positives like Star Wars and your Buffy.
And my Buffy HD remasters, yes. Honestly, my primary concern now is just a few things being affected. Legion being the one, because that's probably my favourite X-Men thing, TV-wise and movie-wise right now.
Yeah.
And season 2, I think, has already been shooting, so I think season 2 is fine. But I'm hoping that's like separate enough that they don't even care and they just like keep going.
That's the hope, because it's, if it is part of that X-Men universe, it's tangentially connected at best. Like, there's been hints that it might be, but there's nothing to say that oh no, it is.
So I hope they leave that alone, because I really like that show. But as far as them like gutting the movies at this point, like, honestly, as much as I'm obviously like I'm happy they're doing something different with New Mutants and whatnot. I mean, I appreciate Deadpool existing. It's not really my thing specifically, but I appreciate it exists. I wouldn't be too upset if they said, you know what, we're just starting from scratch with X-Men and the movies.
I get it. I think Deadpool's safe in the sense that one, it made a shitload of money.
Yeah. Also, it's very meta, so they can actually just joke about it. Like, they can go, "Oh, we're owned by Mickey Mouse now." Like, you can actually crack jokes about it. Yeah.
So they can get away with it. I mean, they already did a Deadpool poster mock-up for that, didn't they? Where
and not only that, like, even in the first movie itself, they made fun of the previous attempt to do a Deadpool, even though this was a reboot. Like, it was, like
exactly. So I can see Deadpool being safe. It's things like the sequel to Logan. I can't remember what that was going to be called, with the younger mutants.
Oh yeah, X-23 and all the rest of it.
Yeah. They're the ones I'm more concerned about.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. And also, just in terms of TV, how does the Fox network operate now? Now that we know that Fox as a company wants to move away from that kind of thing, Like, do they still leave that network to just keep producing shows, because they're not the ones making the shows, they're getting them in from elsewhere. Does the Fox network still like keep existing like it does now in 10 years' time, or does that gradually get stripped away until it becomes something else?
I think it stays just based on the idea of they don't have to do a lot. They just go, okay, yeah, we'll buy that one. We'll buy the rights to show that one, air that, and we'll get the ad money. And because they're not producing anything, they're just a distribution service.
Yeah, or do they sell it to someone else who doesn't already own a network? Yeah, like I don't know, Lionsgate, like for example, they have stars, but they don't own their own network on TV. Like, do they get a network now?
No, I can see that.
It's funny actually. What would you say the sixth? I think the sixth one's Sony, because I mentioned the 6 big ones, right? So Disney, Fox, Universal, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Sony Columbia. Because that used to be Columbia TriStar, and that became Sony, or got bought by Sony.
I'd say that.
Yeah, because it's funny, because I was thinking about it, and I thought that as much as they technically are the sixth one, I'd honestly say Lionsgate put out more content than they do now. So
they put out more content, but I think Sony still has the bigger, just the name recognition, that's fair. Probably, I mean, profit is maybe unfair to say, because Sony are not doing very well. Great at that. But just in terms of awareness, still.
Yeah, and hopefully they leave things like Fox Searchlight alone, because they do a lot of good movies that are very different from most of what Disney.
No, that's true.
But anyway, I said we were getting off of it, so let's get off of it.
Yeah.
So, actual TV news next. We're straight into the comedies. We're straight into new and development stuff. So NBC, for the third time, is trying to do an American remake of the IT Crowd.
Oh, for God's sake, here we go again. Stop it. Just stop it. It's perfect. Leave it alone. Although
this one's actually been written by the original creator, so...
Oh, we got Linehan involved.
Yeah, Linehan's involved. He's writing it. And what's interesting is the first attempt to this actually had Richard Ayoade still playing Moss. He played the same character in the original version with Joe McHale, but that got scrapped in favour of Joe McHale going on to do Community, which I'm happy for that, because I love Community, and I do love IT Crowd, but I love Community too, so I'm happy I got both. I'd rather have Community than a remake of IT Crowd.
Absolutely.
I already have IT Crowd. But they're working on it again, and for those who don't know, it's about the IT department in an office building. You've got a couple of nerds, and then the new sort of female sort of supervisor comes in, and that's kind of the setup for it. It's just wacky characters doing wacky. It's a workplace comedy.
It's a lot of fun.
It's good. Yeah. How is it with different actors? Like, who knows? But with him actually writing it, maybe it could end up being good. The first attempt was 2007. The second attempt was 2014. They never moved forward though. 2007 actually did have a pilot, which you may be able to find on the internet. I don't know if I
never watched it, but I think it was available to watch at some point.
Yeah, I feel like remembering you could find it if you wanted to.
Yeah. I never bothered because I didn't want to, but I vaguely the idea of it being there.
Yeah, but hey, so I don't know. Maybe it'll work out, but I can't say I'm super hopeful for it.
I'm not thrilled, even if he's involved. Why do this? Do something new. Still at NBC, we've got another comedy called Family's Family, which comes from Blackish co-executive producer Kenny Smith. Inspired by his own life, Family's Family centres on brothers-in-law Brandon Turner, an African-American liberal. I see where this is going.
A non-sports obsessed, believe what you want to believe kind of guy, and Tom McQuillan, white conservative, hockey-loving, mass every Sunday kind of a guy. Family's Family is a comedy about having to find common ground with people who marry into your family. So they're brother-in-laws. That's the thing.
I will give it the smallest amount of credit for choosing hockey as the sport, because at least that's not completely the stereotype. The usual, it's football. These things. When they do this character, it's always football.
Right, okay, so yeah.
They've gone, okay, we'll do hockey.
Oh yeah, they've been really fun. Yeah, they've been really like stereotypical. If you had he liked football and then the black guy liked basketball, and that was like the opposing sports. Whereas now it's just hockey. It's just kind of neutral.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly. I don't have any alcohol on me this week. I probably should have got one, but that deserves a drink. Pretend I'll drink later.
Honestly, it sounds fine, but again, it falls into this this trap that we've had this theme of liberals and conservatives having to live together.
The problem is, each time I get one now, it just sounds more and more like the same. So even though the idea is still fine, there's nothing wrong with it, I'm just more bored of it.
Here's the thing, though. Like, half of these won't ever happen. You know, the ones that do get through, there'll be less of them, and then once you're watching them, you can't really...
You'll whittle down to your favourite.
Yeah, you can't fall... I mean, because this might end up being the good one.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, we gave credit to the first one most, because obviously that was the one that was the original idea, so to speak. But the problem is, this one could be the best one, like you say, but I'm just bored of hearing about the idea now.
NBC still put in development a comedy called Natural History from Chris Hardwick's Fish Ladder production and Futurama co-creator David X. Cohen. Natural History focuses on a young woman who returns home to become a director of a beloved local natural history museum, only to find it has gone to hell in her absence. She must wrangle her well-intentioned but less than reliable staff while battling slash budgets, rude patrons, and collapsing dinosaur skeletons. It's a workplace comedy at a natural history museum. Sounds fine.
I like it.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice setting for a workplace comedy that. Bit different, isn't it?
I like workplace comedies. I like the sound of this one. I like the one that was at the holiday resort. I think they both sound like good places to set a workplace comedy. So yeah, again, it's all down to the characters. It's down to the writing.
It is. It could be awful, but I like it from what I'm hearing there.
Next up, ABC multi-camera comedy, created by Kenya Barris, Alec Baldwin, and Julie Bean. It is untitled. But it follows a stuck-in-his-ways, opinionated, fading TV star who moves in with his progressive daughter, her girlfriend, and the child they are raising together. So it doesn't It doesn't mention that he's conservative,
but the fact that they mention that she was progressive implies it.
I was just about to say it's the implication.
Yeah. I
was getting set up for an Always Sunny joke, and you just
but I mean we have enough Always Sunny jokes
on this show.
No, you can never have too many.
Yeah, I need to get back to watch actually, because I watched up to I'd seen 7 seasons before, and earlier this year I got up to middle of season 6 on a rewatch, with the intention of keep moving. I have to go back to it soon.
Yeah. Some of my favorite episodes in season 10. So
that's Untitled. So sometimes I like to reiterate the title at the end of it, but I just realised there was no title for that one. So
yeah,
that's that one. Alec Baldwin's involved. I think he's meant to star in it as well. Which would make sense.
The TV star father. It sounds
he's the right age. It sounds good.
So it sounds like his sort of role. I do like him.
And then last up in the comedies, we've got a Netflix comedy. They've ordered a half-hour comedy by the co-created by Awkward creator Lauren Lungerich.
I don't know who or what that is.
Maybe Lungerich. I'm Scottish. I should be nailing that. It's because it's after the name. It's an awkward name. Anyway, apparently it's an MTV show that did quite well. People got a lot of awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was a high school set show. But this is called On My Block. And it is described as a coming-of-age comedy about 4 bright and streetwise savvy friends navigating their way through the triumph, pain, and newness of high school set in the rough inner city. It is a 10-episode first season that's been ordered.
Could be alright.
Yeah, it's hard to say. We've never seen Awkward. But some of the half-hour Netflix shows have tended to be a bit more meaty than typical sitcoms, where they've had a bit more of an actual story and heart to them. So, I mean, it could be that. I mean, that said, though, if it ends up just being a funny sitcom, then that's good too. I like funny sitcoms.
Yeah, they can never have too many of those.
And high school's a fine setting for a comedy. Why not?
Yep.
It's basically a workplace. You're just not getting paid for it.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Well, moving on to the dramas. We're sticking with Netflix. They have ordered a limited series, which is coming from George Clooney, who's producing it. It's about the Watergate scandal.
Okay.
It doesn't actually have a title at the moment, but I mean, would Watergate be too on the nose?
I feel like it must have been used already.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's off the table.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I'm fine if they call it that. You know what you're getting in for then, don't you?
It is an 8-episode limited series, so that's cool. It's interesting to see Netflix do more of these. Obviously, we just had Godless, which was 7 episodes. And obviously, there's just I mean, I'll give you a description, but it's basically just telling us what the history of it is. But the Watergate scandal began in June 1972 when 5 men were arrested for breaking into the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee at the Watergate complex in Washington D.C. The subsequent. Thank you. That's why I was messing up. The subsequent investigation revealed a cover-up initiated by high-ranking White House officials that eventually forced the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974. So that, I mean, that's not really telling you what the show's going to focus on. That's just what happened. But
yeah, it depends what angle they. I mean, I'm down to check out to be honest, because that's the thing. But do they play it as the investigation angle? Do they play?
Well,
it,
that's the thing. If it's the investigation, I'm like, well, I've seen all the president's men.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I've seen that done. Like, maybe actually seeing the decisions been made behind the doors in the White House.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Which side do they play it from? It's
bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah. Because it's 8 episodes, they got a bit more time than a movie, so.
Yeah. You see the investigation and then them try to counter it along the way. Maybe.
Yeah. That could be fun. I mean, this has got potential if you're into this sort of thing. I'm
not inherently into it. Like, it's just fine. Like, I have no problem with it. But, if it looks good, got a good cast, if it's directed well, I could be into it. The subject itself, I'm just kind of indifferent to.
Oh, that's fair. I realise it's just a taste thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, here's probably my more interesting story of the week that I'm into for reasons. Apple have greenlit another series.
Oh God, here we go again.
Their third one, because they had the Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston one, I want to say. Was it that pair?
And they had the one from Fuller, right?
Yeah, Amazing Stories with Spielberg, the anthology show.
That's the one, yeah.
So now they've this is untitled, so we don't have a title for this one. Don't have a title for the Aniston one either, admittedly, so it's just not that weird. But it's a science fiction series, and the name attached to it interests me greatly. Now, it doesn't mean as much to you.
Just before you even say what it is, everything with Apple here, I'm going, yeah, but how am I going to watch this?
We've had this conversation before.
I know, but I just wanted it to be clear to everyone before, that is always on our mind. My mind.
I'm sure they're going to have a way for everyone to see their content. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Locking this behind the Apple TV device would be like.
No, I think it'll be maybe on iTunes, but even so,
I think there'll be apps for devices. I'm going to say it. If they're going to actually make content and they want people to subscribe, they want people who don't just happen to have and having it just be iTunes where you can get it on a computer, because that's I mean look at that. iTunes is on computers, on PCs outside of Apple devices for that reason. So I think by the same notion, they'll have apps for PlayStation and Xbox and stuff because they want everyone to be able to subscribe to it regardless of what devices they have.
Oh, that's fair.
That's what I'm banking on. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure that's the same point I made last time you brought it up. So
I don't
stop
that.
it.
Fine.
Just stop it. Right. But the name that's attached to this though is what interests me, because as a fan of Battlestar Galactica, the name Ronald D Moore perks my ears right up. He's the one who's going to show on this. He's the one creating this. This is his show. I love Battlestar Galactica. He also, I've never seen the one he was involved in that's on right now. Season 3 just finished. It's got a name like Highlander, but it's not Highlander. Outlander? What's it?
Yeah, that's one.
There you
go. That's a show.
Yeah, so I've never seen that. Never seen that show. I don't hear people talking about it much. Like, tell me if it's good. If people like it, I'll put it on the to-do list for some time down the line. But I never hear anyone talk about it. Anyway, so he also did a pilot once called Virtuality, and I've probably told this story before. But they made this 2-hour pilot or double pilot for this show, and I saw the pilot. Loved it, thought this is fantastic, when's the show starting proper, and then found out they'd already cancelled it and they just aired it as a TV movie, and that's why it was out in the wild. And I'm like, God damn you, I hate you, Fox, you bastards.
Yeah, he didn't even give him a season for that one.
No, Fox the network, of course, specifically. Yeah. But yeah, so he's doing this, so he's working on this. Sony Pictures Television and Moore Studio Tall Ship Productions are the ones doing it. Created by Moore, along with Fargo co-executive producers Matt Walpert and Ben Nedevi? Apologies if I'm butchering that name. There's not much of a description. It just says it explores what would have happened if the global space race had never stopped.
That's pretty cool.
I'm into it. I'm into everything about this, which admittedly is just one name and that very, very sort of simple description. But I'm into it.
Yeah.
If this is what Apple wants to do to get me on board, between this and Amazing Stories, they're hitting.
Still got
things.
a ways to go for me to willingly give Apple money, but
I admit, yeah, I hate the thought of giving Apple money.
I at the moment I would not consider giving them money at all. So they're gonna have to, really win me over.
I mean, I do own an iPad, but it was bought because at the time it was the only thing with the features that I needed. However, I felt dirty doing it.
I haven't owned an Apple anything since 2011 maybe.
You had an iPod though, right?
It was an iPod, yeah. Had a classic.
Yeah, I had an iPod Classic until it died.
Yeah.
All the days. But no. Ronald D Moore, great. Love Battlestar Galactica. That is primed for an already run at some point, someday, when the day calls for it.
Yeah, when we finally get to something where it's not just fresh for both of us.
Yeah. That said, I do want to watch Babylon 5 and Farscape, which I've not seen before and really want to watch. So it may get pushed till after I've seen things that I haven't seen yet. But it's really good.
I've got things like the 12 Monkeys that Sci-Fi did. I think that's just finished up.
Aye, well, once we've done the ones I care about, we'll
see. Flip a coin. Mine's shorter.
There's a penis joke to be made here, and I'm just finding the words.
I think you've already made it.
I was trying to reference that joke you made earlier about me saying lower your expectations to women, but it doesn't work with you saying that to women. It has to be to men.
It does, yeah.
Anyway, Apple building, if they get another couple of interesting shows, like whatever their service is going to be next year, presumably.
Well, another streaming service we forgot to mention.
And again, Apple, much like Amazon, are so big as a company that they can just kind of brute force it until it succeeds, if they really want to. If they really, really want to. So moving on from that, we got a show in development from Freeform, which is called The Kill Book. The Kill Book.
Cool title.
The Kill Book is described as an action-packed thriller that follows a wily, resilient young woman, Charlotte, as she apprentices under a skilled but solitary hitman named Smith, in an effort to obtain justice for her murdered parents. This origin story of an assassin, also a love story between an orphan and the man who made her one. I'm just pausing because I'm just thinking of Leon, the professional now.
The thing that's throwing me off here is, I was assuming that the hitman, that she's training under, is the person who killed her family, but he is presumably a reasonable amount older than her if she's training under him.
But it's a love story. Besides, let me finish. So, the origin story of an assassin who's also a love story between an orphan and the man who made her one, with Charlotte and Smith forming an unlikely bond before she discovers his role in her parents' death. Can Charlotte navigate her way through an increasingly dangerous world without losing everything that matters to her, including her own humanity? So what you just thought you were guessing is actually just what they're saying about it before it even starts. Like that's knowledge.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this. Not on Freeform.
No,
See,
I don't want to watch
the first half of that description, I was like, oh, sounds all right. And then you get to the second half going, oh no, it's all about that. I'm like, ugh, no. Just give me assassin training. Give me being a hitman. Basically, just give me Hitman. Oh, we're getting that anyway, right?
We are getting Hitman. Who's doing Hitman? Was that Amazon?
That might have been Amazon. Someone was doing Hitman.
Was it Stars? It may have been Stars. Someone was doing Hitman.
Too many people.
So, all right. So, this next one doesn't have a network yet. It's going to be pimped out to networks at a later date. But this is called First List, which has been made as a co-production between Thriller Films and Cairo-based Aroma Studios and United Brothers Partnership. So there's a lot of smaller studios here that would, like, yeah. I couldn't have told you about before, but they announced a show though. They're working on a goddamn show, so that's why we're talking about it. So it's an 8-episode drama series called First List by Australian Martin Dinglewall, and I just
That's
love
a
that.
great name.
I love that. It's like you meet someone from a place, and then their name happens to be something that you would joke about them being from the
It's the most Australian
Yeah.
name you could think of as a joke.
Dingle being in the name is actually really funny. It's like you're the most stereotypical Australian that I've ever met.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So, yeah, not much more to add. But anyway, so they are. Yeah, so they're going to ship this out to various networks, and it's for US TV. It's for that. Shooting's already started in Los Angeles, actually. The series will center on Will Scott, one of the FBI's leading crypto analysts, who is hired to crack a heavily coded document discovered by the FBI. He soon discovers it's a hit list, putting him in the crosshairs of the bad guys who want it back. A double cross makes Will one of the FBI's most wanted as he struggles to save those on the hit list. And I'll say this right now, this sounds like it's going to be shopped to the regular networks. This sounds like it has CBS written all over it.
I agree, except it's an 8-episode series. 8 episodes
true,
implies that it's more, Netflix, Amazon, one of those sort of places that usually look at these sort of things when we get these sort of deals pop up.
Or even a cable network. I can see like FX or HBO or whatever.
The problem is, it sounds generic as shit.
It does. It's the sort of thing though where maybe like it's actually really well written and directed, and it's actually really suspenseful. But because we're so used to these FBI hacking sort of plots that we hear about all these CBS shows, it just sounds generic in its form right now.
Exactly.
But this could have, maybe it's got style. Maybe there's a style to it.
Maybe it does. And like I said, that 8-episode thing is the only thing that makes me go, okay, so it's not on. It's just to go in. It's on CBS.
It's not a procedural because it's an 8-episode season. Yeah. Okay, I can see the reasoning there. All right. Next up, we also have another thing that doesn't have a network yet. It's co-production between New Zealand's Mercenary TV Limited and Ireland's Subotica. So we got
Mercenary TV Limited is a great name for a company.
The show is called Soldiers of Fortune. Set in the shadowy world of high-risk corporate warfare, Soldiers of Fortune stars Martinez as Vincent Corbo. That's Olivia Martinez. Just because it referenced someone from the previous paragraph, so I had to tell you who that was. I couldn't say Martinez. But as Vincent Corbo, a battle-scarred Black Ops specialist hired by visionary high-tech mogul Peter Swan to fight the ruthless business rivals, corrupt governments, and violent crime syndicates laying siege to Swan's global empire.
I don't care about this.
I do not care about this either. This also sounds very generic. It's funny because usually when we get these ones that are kind of like these smaller companies without networks yet, they're usually sometimes quite interesting because there'll be these weirder little projects.
They're usually the ones that do something different because they have to get picked up. They have to stand out from the crowd a bit rather than just the in-house productions.
Yep. Next up, Rob Lowe is going to direct and star in a show for Lifetime. Of all places. It's called The Bad Seed, and it is a remake of the 1956 movie of the same name.
Okay. Not familiar with the movie, but...
Yeah. So, here's the synopsis for the show. Lowe will star as a father who seems to have everything under control, but when a terrible tragedy takes place at his daughter's Emma's school, he is forced to question everything he thought he knew about his beloved girl. He slowly begins to question if Emma's exemplary behaviour is just a facade and whether she played a role in the horrific incident. When more strange things begin to happen, he is faced with keeping a terrible secret to protect Emma, but ultimately must stop her from striking again. So, I'm just going to call this right now. Whoever they hire to play the girl, the daughter, making her ginger will make this much more believable as a plot.
I can't dispute that. Cold hard facts.
You've got The Bad Seed written all over you, Connor. You're just too old.
Yes.
It's also mentioned here that the parent's gender has been switched. It was a mother in the movie, played by Nancy Kelly. So Interesting change, but I guess if they like brought him in because they wanted him to like be a big part of it, then this was the big change.
What you gotta do, isn't it? Yeah.
And maybe, of course, maybe they get something out of the whole like father-daughter dynamic as opposed
So
to
be a bit do something a bit different than what the movie did. Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole idea like fathers like really want to be protective of the daughters and like my innocent little girl, I need to protect her, but she might be an evil little shit who's killing people.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic to a mother-daughter. So there's at least something of value in doing it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm actually kind of into that plot. I actually kind of like the idea of the kid being evil and secretly like trying to kill people.
At first, I was kind of expecting this to be really generic, but as it went on, I kind of going, I'm kind of into this. This sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. I'm kind of into it. So we'll see how it pans out. But I like the sound of it. And I might track down the movie at some point actually. Maybe when the show's coming on, we'll do the movie.
So the Flux.
Yeah. Alright, so we're at the network. CW is put in development a show called Lady in the Mask. Lady in the Mask is a psychological thriller set in a near future where people can back up their minds like they back up their computer. It centres on a woman who awakens in the hospital after a suspicious car accident and learns that her memory was damaged and restored from her 2-year-old backup. As she tries to return to her seemingly loving husband, high-profile job in her family's VC tech firm, and otherwise normal life, the details about her missing years begin to contradict one another, leading her to believe that she is being manipulated by someone close to her. That the accident was no accident. The accident was no accident. I thought I was going to say not an accident at all, but it wasn't. The accident was no accident, and that she is at the centre of a much larger conspiracy, unless she's just losing her mind.
This sounds fantastic.
This is an okay idea. I like this. It's very. I've seen plots like this. I don't know if I've seen any of the movies, but I remember there was a Nicole Kidman movie, I think, just in the last couple of years. I think it was Before I Wake. It was she wakes up every day and she's like, it's like 50 First Dates where she's got like where she's got like this amnesia every day, but like she thinks something's going on. Like I feel like it reminds me kind of those ideas.
It reminds me of recently I read the Kevin Smith run on Green Arrow, and this plays with that idea of this was at a time where Green Arrow had died, and then this is it. He's back to life, but the time he doesn't remember dying or any of that. He kind of remembers an earlier time. And it plays with all those ideas of what he thinks is going on and then the reality of the world. Now,
admittedly, I feel like CW is kind of a weird place for this. Like, if you told me this was on like a cable network or a streaming service, I'd be like super excited. As it is in CW, I'm kind of like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that is the one potential downside.
And it's not like CW don't make a lot of stuff be like. They do. In fact, they make more stuff be like than most of the main networks. It's just
this in particular sounds like it needs more weight than the CW often gives.
But then maybe they're going to try and give this more. Maybe this is them trying to say, no, we can do a serious TV show.
I hope so, because I like the idea a lot. I just, don't know if it's going to be right for them.
It's also a little Total Recall-ish in a couple of ways.
I mean, and do you know what I will say is, we got the CW Netflix with Sabrina.
Oh yeah, Sabrina's the Netflix show, yeah.
Yeah, we could get a similar thing happen here.
It would shock me.
Because this feels like if this was on Netflix, I can see it.
Yeah. That's fair. That's true.
So I don't know.
All right. So we're on to the last news story of the week. Last of the year, in fact.
Yeah.
So Margot Robbie's Lucky Chap Entertainment has closed a deal with Warner Brothers TV to develop a show for NBC, which is weird. We go through all those names and it's NBC at the end, but NBC with those companies are developing Shattered Glass. And here's what that is. Shattered Glass, which is not related to the journalism theme movie of the same name. I'd never heard of it, but thanks for pointing that out. It is described as House of Cards meets Revenge. It is an empowering post-feminist revenge fantasy set in the world of Wall Street, in which a trio of modern women come together to shatter their respective glass ceilings, taking no prisoners along the way. I like the title, based on what it's about.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I also like the idea that if they're going with the whole revenge thing proper, I like the idea that they're actually plotting to kill their bosses.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I can see they've been fun with that.
This I feel could be amazing or awful.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be awful, but there's potential in there.
There's just enough where this could be incredible.
I think there's potential. But
yeah,
how about that? No CBS dramas this week.
It's a beautiful end to the year. What can I say?
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is.
What can I say? So that's the news. Admittedly, we spent about 20 minutes talking about Fox Disney, which if you cut that out, it's maybe more of an hour long, but still meaty enough for the final episode of the year. I will say this now. I've not even told Connor this yet, but I am going to change up the system of numbering these with the new year. We're officially going to be turning these into seasons every year, rather than letting the number just keep go up.
So next will be the 2018 season.
Yeah, we'll have a 28 season with episodes 1 through probably about 50, given the 2-year break at the end of the year.
Yeah. Unless something comes up again, because I think we didn't skip. I know we skipped 1 week.
Just one. No, I think
that might have been the only one all year.
Yeah, we're usually pretty good at getting these done, but yeah, so we had 49 episodes this year, I think. Just because the way we used to number it, because you'll notice we never reference it. It's just that in the corner of the thumbnail, it'll say like, I think this is like 18 something, maybe 180, 179 maybe, I think.
This is 179.
And that doesn't really mean a whole lot. It doesn't even mean a whole lot to us beyond just our record keeping. So I figured I'd just switch it to seasons starting next year so that it actually means something. It's like, no, okay, you know what number 15 means.
Yeah.
So, I just thought it'd make it...
I think you're going, oh, you didn't tell me this. I was like, well, you've not told me now. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this makes no difference to me.
It doesn't make no difference.
It makes no difference to anyone, really.
It really doesn't. It's just, I just want people to know what those numbers mean in the corner. So...
and then if you see it change, you'll be like, oh, what's the secret message going on here?
Yeah, exactly. So we're switching to a more straightforward numbering system starting the next episode in January. So I guess we'll pick our favourite episode of TV of the week. And
it's Mr. Robot.
It's Mr. Robot season finale.
I mean, to be fair, some very good episodes of Dark that are in contention.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like next week there won't be a whole lot of choice, and unless Shield could give us a
yeah, because next week we're gonna have Shield, 3 or 4 episodes of Dark, 3 episodes of Dark.
3, yeah.
3 episodes of Dark. We're gonna have a Runaways.
And a Happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially. We're recording that after this, so we'll see how we feel after episode 2. But
yeah, I think that'll be it next week.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the time? So there you go. That was easy to pick this week, Mr. Robot. Obviously, we do television from the multiverse, which is that's how we do all the DC shows now, in a sort of weekly podcast format, kind of like our comics podcast. They're actually on break. All the mid-season finales were last week, but we're still going to be doing that every week. We're doing old shows on the off-season, so we're doing some Smallville, some Lois and Clark, and some Young Justice, the animated series in that. So if you're interested in some retro reviews of those, which in case of Young Justice for me it's a first time watch, but everything else is...
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, if you don't follow the DC CW shows, then you can kind of jump in with this, because this is some classics that maybe a different conversation that you might be able to get on board with.
Yeah, so so that's starting with episode 11, which is late Sunday, early Monday. That typically rises to
in the next few days, basically.
Aye, sure. If that's how you want to phrase it. And actually, since we're we don't have news for the next couple of weeks, it's probably worth telling you some of the other TV that's coming up before we come back with more news. Mainly being a couple of Netflix things, that being Black Mirror, which launches December 29th, so we'll be doing them one per day from that day on. Also, a few days before that, Travellers hits outside of Canada, or Canadaland. I mean, Canada's a fine name, but I think Canadaland and Canada both sound better, so I'm going with those two. But
silly half French place, I call it.
Oh dear. But yeah, so I think that's the 26th of December that launches for everyone on the Tuesday.
Sounds about right.
So we'll be trying to hit that every once per day as well from that day on. So you can check out that, and of course our weekly Legacy Star Trek videos will keep going as well.
Have we got anything coming back at the start of January before we do news?
Possibly Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, okay.
It's that first week, but depending on what day the weeks fall on, I'm not sure if that's before or after the first news. But
The only other thing that springs to mind is we will have the Doctor Who Christmas special, which of course we've got the regeneration coming up.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing.
Well, that's because you're an awful human being.
I completely forgot there'd be a Doctor Who to do in Christmas. Okay, yeah, Doctor Who's coming.
Be more excited, you prick.
The last season was only okay.
I hate you.
Otherwise, though, obviously, we'll be finishing out Dark over the next few days. We've got a few episodes of that left, and that's about it. Also, we mentioned the best of the year stuff. Obviously, look out for the best of the year stuff. For the other stuff, meaning movies, like, me and Matt will be doing the best movies of the year. Me and Tim will be doing the best horror movies of the year for the Screams end of year show. There will be a worst 10 movies from Streams.
Because you do some shit on that show.
We do a lot of bad movies in the year, so me and Tim will definitely be doing
That's actually like going to be a fight to pick the worst for that.
top 10 worst movies. Well, it may be easier this year because unlike last year, there's not a movie that's clearly meant to be on there that Tim likes for some reason. Because
is that the boy?
Yeah, last year I had to fight tooth and nail to make sure the boy snuck on there at the bottom of that list.
Oh, if it had been down to you without Tim there, what number would it have been instead of 10?
Admittedly, it would have only been maybe 1 or 2 higher. It wouldn't have been that much higher.
But it would have been higher.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
However, that's only because we see so much crap that the top like 7 or 8 were like obviously the top 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But hey, so we'll be doing that again this year. So we started doing Christmas movies this week. The last one that went up was Jack Frost, the 1997 Killer Snowman movie.
Sounds fun.
With the only notable star in it being Shannon Elizabeth. Who's that, you ask? She's the one who gets naked in the first American Pie movie. That's like the extent of the stardom we've got in Jack Frost.
It's prestige right there.
But you can check out a review of that should you wish. So these are things. So that is the final TV news of the year. Hopefully it won't be too long into the new year when we can start doing the movie news. We're just waiting for that first goal to be hit in Patreon, which shouldn't be too long now. We're really, really close.
We're getting up there.
So yeah, which obviously leads me on to plugging the Patreon. If you want to support the channel, support the show and everything we do here, and like I say, if we hit that goal, there'll be like another news video every week, also in the audio feed, which will have both. Go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and there's various bonuses and things and all that for the movie stuff and whatnot. But have a look see. Otherwise, get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to like, subscribe, let us know what you thought of the news in the comments below, or on Twitter. All that's cool. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. Keep watching TV. We'll see you in the new year for more news, but we'll see you for some best of list and stuff in the next couple of weeks. That is us. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?